Hello everyone, this is kind of a retrospective about Sir Oofie and how to use him and his sword effectively and how to do well with him in Megabonk. See, ever since Megabonk came out like a week ago, it's clearly shown that some characters are better than others. Even though they can still share the same items and perks, their passives can ultimately fundamentally change how you play the game. Take Clank for example. His passive is a 1% crit rate increase every level. Now this might not seem too crazy, but with how good the revolver is when it is paired with crits, which you gain automatically, Clank just shines out of the rest of the characters due to his strong pairing of the revolver and the crits. And then there's Sir Oofie. His passive is 1% armor per level gain. Now this may seem pretty good, but due to how common it is for you to get swarmed in this game by enemies, an extra 25% of armor can't really save you that much, which is why Sir, who I'm going to call for the rest of the video due to me not wanting to say oopsie all the time, isn't really all that great. Mostly because of his main weapon, the sword. The sword is probably my least favorite weapon in the game, due to the fact that you have to manually aim it on your own, which can make you accidentally get caught up in a heap of enemies. Most of the best weapons in the game, like the revolver, bananarang, and lightning strike, aim for you, and the sword's only redeeming factor is being able to hit multiple enemies at once, which the bananarang is far superior at and a lot more fun. So what's the point of the title of this video then, you're probably asking? Well, even though the sword is the worst weapon in the game, it becomes incredibly overpowered with 3 simple stats. Number 1, size. This is hands down what makes the sword feel good to use. Due to the fact that the base sword is so comically small when you swing it, the size stat ultimately negates this downside and makes it a good zoning tool. Size is probably one of the most mediocre stats in the entire game and overshadowed heavily by crits and attack speed. But once you get your size stat up to about 50%, no enemy can touch you. I mean, just look at the footage. I am literally reaching into the pillar and hitting enemies I can't even see on the other side. If size wasn't a stat in this game, the sword might as well not even exist in my opinion. It is a necessity if you want to get the slightest bit out of use of the sword. Number 2, knockback. When leveling up the size of your sword, it will most likely be paired with knockback. Knockback, like size, isn't really that big of a component in the game due to the fact that most of the enemies you kill in this game are one shot, which negates knockback's purpose. Once you pair with the sword, you actually feel its effect in the game. You can actually catch your breath from elites by spamming some sword slices and maybe even capture a shrine. When it's paired with size at a decent level, you can be a literal bully to the smaller enemies by flinging them off cliffs and ramps. But you can't do good in a run without any DPS, which brings me to my third and final stat. Number 3, crits. I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory. Crits are a core component of this game. Every time I see a yellow number on my screen, my dopamine rises to unimaginable levels, and for good reason. Crits are the best damage dealers in the game, period. It's not even a contest. And when you match it with the impeccable size of the sword, you will literally be like Sephiroth slashing down foe after foe with no sign of stopping. Admittedly, I didn't really get too lucky with my crit chances in the run footage here, which is why I'm barely getting any kills whatsoever. Overall, when you pair these 3 stat groups together, Sir could actually make it pretty far in runs and can turn early bosses into melted butter. Though I will admit that it does take a bit of luck to get the perfect run for this strategy, because I don't make it pretty far in this run due to me not getting lucky on crit upgrades. But how far I got into this run, there's serious potential here. But the rest of the video will now just be me showing the strategy in action, and thank you for watching. Enjoy!